most of these concepts are ridiculous to me until I consider the interests of the powerful. When I think, well, what are the interests of the powerful? And usually the philosophies and the way that terrain and topography is demarked is in accordance with my understanding of the interests of the powerful. And my concern would be, as a great man of science, do you have concerns that the field of science, whilst its findings are sort of transcendent and verifiable and transcendent of politics, that their funding, for example, and many of their objectives, say in the pharmaceutical industry, weapon industry, are contained and ultimately controlled by primal motives that do belong in that 2% deficit chimpanzee land that we thought we had left behind? Ways of enforcing power, ways of demonstrating control.
There's no question that what science gets funded is driven by geopolitical forces. There's no question about that. And geopolitical could mean economic, it could be militaristic, it could be hegemonistic, any and all of the above. No question about it. But it does not affect what science finds to be objectively true.
Yes.
That answers to a higher power than the funding source. That is nature serving as the ultimate judge, jury, and executioner of an idea. And it is possible, by the way, scientists are human just like anybody else, and we have bias like anybody else. We might be a little more aware of our own bias, but we have bias. So fortunately, the methods and tools of science have systems in place to ferret out that bias. Why is it? How does that work? You came out with a result, and I think you're biased. I'm going to do your experiment to see if I get the same result. But I got a different result. That throws your result into question, and it throws in your integrity as a scientist into question. I get credit for showing that you're wrong.
Yeah, in the more esoteric circles of academic science, perhaps, but not like if you're churning out some opioids across America. And I'm saying, hey, you shouldn't be selling Percocet and fentanyl. Here's a new study, because that's not in the interests of the pharmaceutical industry. So I would say that the ultimate ideology is a capitalist consumer ideology, and scientific pursuit, even though it's based on objectivity, has to exist within that framework. And as a result, there's an incremental but continual bias towards the results that do not challenge the interests of the powerful. And that challenges the fundamental objectivity of the entire discipline.
No, not the objectivity. It challenges there could be entire branches of science that go unresearched because they are not of interest to the state.
Yeah.
That's sad. That's sad. So occasionally you get people who are wealthy will fund their own research project, or if you win a Nobel Prize, you get $1.3 million, $1.5 million, and then you start your own project, and you're not beholden to the wishes of the state.
Or big business.
Or the economic or political wishes. My book before this one was titled Accessory to War.
Oh, yeah, that military one.
Exactly. The unspoken alliance between astrophysics and the military. And it's a very real fact that in spite of the general liberal anti-war posture that I and my colleagues take, we're overwhelmingly liberal, progressive anti-war, there are common needs that overlap with the military. There are innovations in the military that we have exploited. There are innovations that we have invented that they have exploited. And this overlap is a two-way street, and it's been going for centuries, even millennia. So it doesn't change the objectivity. It changes just the categories of things that get researched. That's all.
And in a sense, how can we make any claim to objectivity when there is such evident bias in the direction of study? It's not ultimate objectivity, it's objectivity.
That's a different bias from bias in your actual research.
Yes.
So I want to separate those two.
I would agree.
Definitely the state will fund what they want to see.
Yes.
If you now do the experiment, you can do it in an unbiased way. And if you don't get the results the state wants, that's too bad for the state.
Yeah, but you ain't getting no funding for that anyway. So that field of objectivity remains invisible forever. Thanks for watching this podcast and going all the way to the end of it. Would you so kind as to click the bell? It might not be there because they're over there. And subscribing so that we can infiltrate your serenity and peace of mind with jangling bells and buzzes. Thank you.